unions and all of that. So then there was like a 40, 50-year period where being a middle-class white person was the dream. You know, because there was still racism, classism, and all of that shit, right? Well, middle class is a class. You know, there was still racism, okay? And then what happened was eventually these corporations just got sick of dealing with these unions and their hard-nosed negotiating and all that. And then they just said, well, fuck you then. Keep your union, keep your factory. We're leaving. And they took their factories outside of the U.S. and went back to 1800 wages in Mexico, China, wherever the hell they're building them. So then what happened was once people realized that that was happening, there was this pushback. This is how it happened during my lifetime. People were like, what the fuck? You should be making those things here. And then what the corporate guy said was, well, you know, we would make sneakers here, but if to pay the American worker and everything, the sneakers would then, instead of costing $50, they'd now cost $700. And I was always thinking, why? It would cost $700, but I can't afford that. And what it really was they weren't going to lose the profit of sweatshop labor. So if they came back to America, we weren't going to work for that. So, and they weren't going to lose the profit of sweatshop labor, so they were going to pass it on to the consumer. That's what the fuck happened. So all of this talk that, you know, Mexico stole our jobs, China stole our jobs, they didn't steal the jobs. They were exploited by the super rich cunts that are not patriots in this country. They're not. They're pieces of shit. So that's what the fuck happened. So, and then here we are all of these years later in an effort to get, you know, this labor to come back. We're somehow trying to punish these other countries who've been suffering with sweatshop labor from a handful of super rich people from this country that fucked everyone in this country and every other country that they went to around the world, making America look bad. But what do? They divide us. They have the American worker who's getting fucked, mad at the whatever other worker around the world who's also getting fucked, actually getting fucked worse, getting sweatshop slave wages. So I really believe that was happening. And I don't understand what that whole fucking thing was. But all I know is, once again, the market tanked and a bunch of rich people, right before they turned it back on again, went in and made a ridiculous amount of money. And they're all high-fiving with each other. And I don't know. This guy told me something a long time ago. He says, when you watch the stock market and they go like, up $2 billion was lost today. He's like, money isn't lost. Like, where did it go? That's just how they frame it. It isn't lost. It changes hands. All right, that's enough of that shit.
Wow. So what he's basically saying there is, all this talk about blame Mexico, blame China, the world is screwing us. This is what Trump thinks and what Trump says. That's totally bogus. None of that is true. What really happened is the billionaires, the robber barons, and the multinational corporations, at the time they weren't multinational, they were just corporations. They became multinational corporations because they decided, hey, instead of paying an American worker a decent wage and dealing with these unions who are annoying the shit out of us, let's lobby the government to make it legal to allow us to send these jobs overseas. And then we could pay the sweatshop wages and we can import really cheap consumer goods into this country right now. But the collateral damage is the American middle class got totally hollowed out. There is no manufacturing base in America anymore. So you have all this despair in this country, all this poverty in this country, all this extreme income and wealth inequality in this country, and a demagogue like Trump comes along, and instead of calling out the villains who are the real villains, the billionaires, the robber barons, the multinational corporations that orchestrated this system for their own benefit and to screw the American workers, he says, no, it's China. Blame China. Blame China. It's not their fault. They didn't do anything wrong. Mexico didn't do anything wrong. None of these people did anything wrong. It was all a chase for profit. It was all a hunt for profit. And we don't care about the roadkill, the collateral damage, the innocent people whose lives have been destroyed. Right? And the other thing is, they're not even going to bring back manufacturing jobs. The idea that Trump said, oh, these tariffs will bring back American manufacturing. That 100% is not going to happen. Because you can't bring back American manufacturing without a little thing called industrial policy. Which means what? Not only do you tariff the foreign goods coming in, but you need to spend a massive amount of taxpayer money to prop up the industries that you want to thrive in this country. That's how it works. That's how it works. You can't, free market will take care of it. No, they fucking won't. You think some company's going to decide, here, I'll spend billions of dollars for a 10-year project to make a factory here, to then pay the American workers 40 times what I was paying somebody overseas, and I'm sure that'll be profitable for me in the long run. They're not going to do it. That's why you need the government to be involved. And the most important point here is Trump, even the idea, we're going to bring back textile manufacturing? What? No, if you were to try to reinvigorate American manufacturing, it should be high-tech manufacturing jobs, right? Semiconductors, chips, things of that nature. And what did Trump do? There was a Biden law that brought chip manufacturing to this country. Trump killed it. He froze the funding. So Biden was creating 115,000 manufacturing jobs, high-paying manufacturing jobs for chips in this country. Trump killed it. So at the same time he's saying, I'm going to bring back manufacturing, he's killing the actual attempt to bring back manufacturing through industrial policy. That's what's happening. But look, he is 1 trillion% right, Bill Burr is, that the real issue, it was never China, it was never Mexico. Trying to do this the foreign boogeyman bit. How many times have we gone through this in our life, right? It's the problem is the Soviet Union. The problem is this country. The problem is that country. And it's or this group or that group. It's no, the enemy is in the house, bro. The enemy are the billionaires, the robber barons, the multinational corporations. Bribery has been legalized in this country. They bought the government. They rigged the rules and the laws in their favor, and they screwed over the American working class. And then when we actually got moving the ball in the right direction about 20% with Joe Biden, 800,000 manufacturing jobs coming back because of Joe Biden's industrial policy, Trump immediately killed it and sparked a global trade war. While again, pointing the finger incorrectly at China and foreign countries like they're screwing us when they're not screwing us at all. The people who screwed the American worker were those industrialists, were those billionaires, were those robber barons, were those corporations which are now multinational corporations. And so he gets the core of it. And this is what Democratic politicians need to understand. You are not going to defeat in abrasive politics that names villains. You're not going to defeat that with some milquetoast, mealy-mouthed, vapid centrism of both sides and let's get along. They name villains, the wrong ones, but they have villains. You need to do the same thing and name the right villains. So how do you actually address it? Well, it's obvious. We have income and wealth inequality that's through the fucking roof. It's off the fucking charts what we're looking at now. You have to tax the wealthy. You have to tax them and then take that money and give people health care and give people education and give people paid family leave and paid sick leave. Let people join a fucking union, right? Actually do industrial policy to bring back high-tech manufacturing jobs, which would massively, massively help this country. It's called redistribution of wealth. It's called New Deal politics. And when he said there was that brief period where everybody was like, oh, this is great, that was during the New Deal, where the top marginal tax rate on the wealthy was 91%. In fact, I think it peaked at 93%. So you taxed the rich a lot, and you made sure everybody else got their fair share, got some help at the bottom, had job availability at the bottom, and then you created a much more equal country, a much more fair country, where people actually felt like there was something called the American dream, right? The way you get back to that, it's not rocket science. It's the same fucking policies. It's the same policies. You tax the rich, you redistribute, you set up universal social safety net programs like a Social Security for all, like a universal single-payer healthcare, Medicare for all, like free college, eliminate the medical debt, let people join a union, do industrial policy to bring back high-paying manufacturing jobs. Like, this is what you do. And he's right. And it's crazy that a comedian who admittedly is like, I'm not even really all that political, and I don't even follow the news that much, but a comedian explained exactly what the problem is quickly. And he knows that Trump is full of fucking shit. When Trump is like, oh, it's China, blame Mexico, blame Vietnam. Vietnam's been taking advantage of us for far... Really? Vietnam has been taking advantage of the United States of America for far too long? Do you fucking hear yourself? Do you hear yourself? No. The problem are all these trade deals that were written by the billionaires and by the corporations, rigged in their favor and screwed everybody else over. The one upside that we got out of it in the U.S. is low-cost consumer goods. And that was the one thing holding this country together with duct tape and bubble gum, is consumer goods that were really cheap. Because we've seen massive inflation when it comes to housing. We've seen massive inflation when it comes to education and when it comes to healthcare. Those things, the prices have skyrocketed. The one area where it didn't is consumer goods. Now, it's going to skyrocket for consumer goods too. So the social safety net's being destroyed. People are going to lose their jobs. The prices are going to skyrocket. Buckle the fuck up. Because of Trump's actions, and because he named the wrong villain and fought the wrong trade war, As a direct result of that, things are going to get way, way, way